Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how to make a simple beaded bracelet. So to this you're going to need a couple of things. First you're going to need some seed beads. These are just some size 5 seed beads I believe. You're going to need a beading needle, some beading thread, this is Nymo D, a button for your clasp. I'm just using this one I found in my stash because it was pretty. And you're going to need some smaller seed beads. I'm just using these silver ones because they match my button. You can use whatever colour you want that matches your bracelet. Alright, so this bracelet is mainly done using a peyote stitch. If you're not familiar with it at all, I suggest you go check out my other video on how to do a peyote stitch, but I will briefly explain it in this video as well. So, alright, let me just get some thread. There we go. I would suggest using maybe an arm span and a half or so over this. That should give you enough. But just use whatever length you're comfortable working with. You can always add more on later. Alright. So, to start off with, you're going to want to make sure you've got a fairly long tail at the end of your thread, because you're going to need this to do your clasp. I'd suggest maybe leaving about 20-25 centimeters. That should be enough. And then we're going to start our peyote stitch. So, I think I'm going to do 6 wide, because I don't want my brace to be too thick. But let's just check too, I don't want my button to be bigger than my bracelet. I think I might do 2 more. So we're going to be using an even count peyote stitch for this, which means you're going to want to make sure you have an even number of beads to start off with. So I'm using 8. You can use however many you want, though if you're using a smaller size of beads than these, you might want to add a few more rows, just because it might end up being a little bit narrower otherwise, because if you're using small beads it'll be narrower. Anyway, okay, so you're going to want to slide them down your thread. Make sure you leave the tail. Now to start off with, I will usually just sort of wrap, if that stays there, wrap a bead from my finger like this, just because it gives me a little bit of a stable platform to work on. And so just do a pair of stitches. Just going to pick up a bead, skip your first bead here, and go through the next. That's pretty much the entire premise of peyote stitch. You're just skipping one bead and going through the next one. First row or two is always going to be the trickiest, but once you've got it started, it should be pretty simple. Yeah, skip one bead, going through the next. If you find that your beads are sliding around a little bit too much and it's a little bit too difficult to keep hold of, you might want to add a stopper bead onto the end of your thread, because that can make it a little bit easier just to hold that first row in place. Alright, let's start on the next row. But yeah, once you're done with the first couple of rows, it should all just lock into place and it should be nice and easy. But if you're using a bigger bead, it can be a little bit trickier as well, just because depending on the type of thread you're using, it may slide around a little bit more, just because it isn't, like, you know, so trapped in the beads, if that makes sense. One thing to also be wary of, depending on the type of your beads you're using, so these ones I'm using here are Chinese made seed beads, just because that's what I had lying around, and the thing with these ones is that they do tend to vary in size quite a bit, so you've got to be careful that you're not putting a massively long bead like this one into your thing, because you can see it's quite a bit longer, and that can sometimes warp your beadwork. So you just want to try and avoid those ones which are massively oversized or undersized, if possible. They are still quite useful, particularly if you're trying to do an increase or a decrease and make it, you know, alternating widths, but yeah, much easier just to stick to the more uniformly sized beads. So again, we're just continuing our peyote, skipping one bead and going through the next one. And as you can see, I'm sort of at the point where I've got this alternating pattern, and I'm always just going for the bead that's higher up. So what you're going to do is just continue beading along until your bracelet is as long as you want it to be. You want the two ends of the bracelet to just meet around your wrist. So go ahead and do that and pause this video and then come back when you've reached that length. Okay. Alright, so I've got my finished bracelet here. So as you can see, just want to make sure it just fits around your wrist with the ends touching, like that. So the next thing we need to do is to start adding our clasp. So the first part we're going to add is our button here. So this is going to be a really simple clasp, basically just going to be a button and then a loop around the button to hold together. So to add on the button, grab my needle, I'm just going to go backwards, trying to work with it because we don't want the button to be sitting right here. We want to be sitting it back a little bit just so we can sort of pull these two ends of the bracelet closer together so you have less of a gap. So I'm just going to go in here. Let's see, how's that? Yeah, I think I might just add it there. Alright, so this button just has a middle loopy thing. I don't know the technical name for it. But you can use any sort of button you want, basically. I'm just going to go through the hole in your button and then back down through your bracelet. And that's basically it. So I'm just going to go back through this a couple of times just to make sure it's really nice and strong on it, because this will be one of the parts of your bracelet that has the most pressure on it, so you want to try and reinforce it as much as possible. And as you can see, I'm just going back and forward. Oop, if I can get it to be in the right spot, there we go. Through these beads here. And my needle is getting stuck there. There we go. And then back up through our button. And back down. I'm going to do this maybe 2 more times. Maybe 3, depending on how easy it is to get my needle through these beads, just to make sure this is really, really well secured, because you do not want this falling off. This bead is being particularly uncooperative when it comes to getting my needle through there. There we go, got a little angle. Alright, and knots in my thread. Let's see if I can get it through anyway. Yes, oh good. Just see if I can get rid of this knot quickly. it's done it. Yeah, mostly. Okay. And back through the button again, and then back down into our bracelet. Oh, it's really not focusing on these, but yeah, you get the idea. Let's have a look. If you can sort of see, we've got a little bit of thread going through it. I think I might do one more round. Just to make sure it's really, really well stuck on there. Oh no, I got a loop stuck. Watch out for this happening, it does happen sometimes. My thread's just gotten caught around my beads, and I haven't noticed until now, which means I've got to go back and figure out where this loop came from. Fun times. Alright, I might just be able to pull it through. Yes, that's handy. Okay. Back in through this bead. Alright, so I think that's had enough goes through. It should be nice and securely on there. So we're just going to tie off this thread now. So the way I tie off my threads is I'll just go back down through a couple of beads and then back sort of into the middle-ish of my beadwork. Alright, I might just do my first knot here. So, if you can see this, to do a knot, all I do is I just pick up that sort of thread in the middle there, pull through till we've got a loop, and then just want to go through that loop twice. Just because going through it twice turns into something called a surgeon's knot, which is much, much harder to undo than just a regular old ordinary knot. I'm going to go through a few more beads. I'm just going to do another one. Do that one there too, I think. Okay. Right, then we're going to do another knot. So just pick up a bit of thread, and then through the loop twice, and then just pull tight. Then we're just going to go out the end side of our beadwork. And then we're just going to cut it off. And that's it. That's the first half of your class 1. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is take this thread off this needle. That's our excess. And we're going to get some of our little silver beads out. Alright, then we're going to go back down to the other end. So, just going to thread this needle. If I can get that on there. It's got a bit frayed. There we go. Okay. And now we're going to do our loop. So we're going to go back into it, like our piece a little bit again for this one, like we did the other one, but not anywhere near as much. We're just going to try and come out sort of between these beads here, I think. Alright, so now we're going to start our loop. So you're just going to want to pick up your smaller beads. These are a size 11. You're going to want to need at least in a size 11, maybe a 15 if you've got some lying around. And then we're just going to pick up some beads. How many you pick up is going to depend on how big your button is. So the method I found that works best is basically just trial and error. Unless you've done it, the same bracelet design a couple of times and you've always used the same sort of beads, there's no way of predicting exactly how many you're going to need. I know I'm going to need more than that many though, I think. Just make sure I'm in the right spot. I managed to make one of these the other day and I got them ends mixed up, so I had one half of the clasp on one side of the bracelet, half on the other, so it sort of got twisted. That was smart of me. Anyway, okay, let's have a look at this. So what you're going to want to do to get an idea of the size is make sure it sort of fits around the thick widest part of your button, and I think that would work. So I'm going to go in through this bead and just hold that tight for a second and make sure it fits over our button, which is done. So this is what our clasp is going to look like. Alright, so I'm going to take that off there and we're going to go back through this lot of beads and reinforce it again like we did for the button part. Now you wouldn't reinforce this quite as many times as you did the button, just because they are much smaller beads. Okay, is that what I want? No, I think I want to go on the other side. And I am running out of thread too, which isn't helping. Okay, so I'm going to go back around here again until I get to the right position to come back up through the beads. And I'm going to go up through. Let's have a look here. What's the best spot to come up through? Did I go to the camera? I think I hit the camera. Oops. Okay. So I think I'm going to come back up through this one here if I can get to it. There we go. And just try and make it look a little bit neater. Let's see how we go. Yeah, this will probably be the last pass I can make through it, both because my thread is starting to get very short and because these beads are starting to get harder to pass through because they have little holes on them. But you want to aim to do at least 3 to go through, which I think is what I've ended up with, so that should be alright. Alright, then we're just going to go back through our bead here again. Ooh, how coming out? No. Okay, we're going to go through here and just tie it off like we did before. So to the edge, then back into the middle. Just going to tie a knot. Ooh, it's getting very short, my thread. Be careful when you're doing this little bit of it, because there's nothing more annoying than having your thread be a little bit too short and then losing the end of it and having to try and get it back in again when it's that short. Ooh, and I was losing it again. Okay. Do another knot here. So again, we're just picking up that bit of thread in between there, and then making our very small loop. Oh no, I lost my loop. Okay, try again. Now be careful if you pull too quickly or not carefully enough, you will lose your loop. And that's not useful. Please don't fall out of my needle thread. Okay, whew, just made it. Pull tight, and then work your way to the edge of the piece. Alright, there we go, and then we're just going to cut this off. And there is our completed bracelet. And then we just put it on and show you guys. Here we go. So this is what our clasp looked like, and as you can see there, the gap here isn't too bad as it would be if we had our button right on the edge here. Yeah, there we go. Simple beaded bracelet. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like and subscribe for more. Thanks. Bye.